I didn't realize something was wrong until my husband started remembering things I never did. Not in a sweet way, not in a we've been together too long kind of way, in a way that made me question my own memory. "Evelyn, you already sent that email." Daniel said it casually, like it didn't matter, like I didn't matter. I froze. "What email?" He sighed, slow, annoyed. "The investor update, this morning. You CC'd the entire board." I stared at him. I didn't send anything. That's when he looked at me and smiled. Not warm, not worried, just patient. "Ev, you've been doing this a lot lately." That was the first crack. After that, it spread, fast. By the end of the week, it wasn't just emails, it was everything. Meetings I didn't remember scheduling, messages I didn't remember typing, files I knew I hadn't touched. And somehow, every single one of them had my name on it, my signature, my tone, my decisions, but not my memory. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm the founder and CEO of Synapse AI, a healthcare startup in Austin. 3 years ago, it was just me, a laptop, and a problem I couldn't ignore. I watched my mother forget who I was, piece by piece, day by day. So I built something to stop that from happening to other people. Now, the company is worth $18 million. We have investors, a board, momentum, a future. At least, I thought we did. Maybe you should take a few days off. I turned. Lena stood by the glass wall, arms crossed, watching me like I might break. My best friend, my co-founder, the person who built all of this with me. "I'm fine." Too fast. "You forgot your own demo yesterday." I opened my mouth to argue, and then stopped, because I didn't remember it. That night, I stayed late, long after everyone left. The office was quiet, too quiet. The city lights reflected in the glass, and for a second, I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. I needed something real, something objective, something that couldn't lie. So I opened the system logs. Every action was tracked. Logins, edits, access points, clean, precise, reliable. At first, everything looked normal. My account, my activity, my timestamps, exactly where they should be. Then I saw it. A login, 2:17 a.m. I frowned, scrolled. Another one, 2:17. The next night. And the next, every single night. Same time, exact pattern. My heart started beating faster. I don't work at 2:17 a.m. I'm not even awake. I clicked into the details. Not my device, not a standard session, admin override. My throat went dry. Only 2 people had that level of access, me and Daniel. I stared at the screen, trying to make it make sense. A bug, a glitch, anything. Anything except what this looked like. Then I saw what the account had accessed. My private development folder, files I hadn't touched in weeks, files that were now different. I opened one, last modified, recent, edited by me. My hands went cold, because I knew something with absolute certainty. I didn't do that. The office behind me was completely silent, empty, still. But for the first time that night, it didn't feel empty. It felt like someone had been here, working, moving through my space, touching everything I built, and leaving my name behind like a signature. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Because if that wasn't me, then someone else was inside my life. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to Daniel breathe beside me. Slow, steady, peaceful, like nothing was wrong, like I was the problem. That thought stayed with me, quiet but heavy. What if he's right? What if I did all of it and just don't remember? Morning came too fast. 6:30 a.m., same kitchen, same routine, same man. Daniel was already there, pouring coffee like nothing had changed. "Morning, Ev." His voice was warm, familiar, the kind of voice that used to calm me down. Morning. I didn't look away this time. I watched him. Every movement, every detail. He reached for the counter and handed me a glass, protein shake, chocolate, my usual. You didn't sleep, he said. Not a question. I'm fine. You said that yesterday. I forced a small smile, took the glass, cold, smooth, normal. I lifted it to my lips and paused. Just for a second, something felt off. Not the taste, not the smell, just hesitation. You okay? Now he was watching me, closely. I took a sip. Nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. You've been forgetting things again, he said, turning away. Lena's worried. Of course she is. By 9 a.m. I was already behind. Emails piling up, Slack notifications non-stop, 3 missed calls from an investor, and then the message. From Lena, are you seriously canceling the neuro demo today? I frowned. Cancel? What are you talking about? 3 dots appeared, then, Ev, you told the team last night. You said you weren't ready. My chest tightened. No, I didn't. I scrolled up, slowly, and there it was, a message from me. Timestamp 2:19 a.m. We're pushing the demo. I'm not confident in the results. My fingers hovered over the keyboard because it sounded like me. Same tone, same hesitation, same doubt, but I didn't remember writing it. Everything okay? Daniel's voice again. From the doorway, I turned. He was leaning there, watching me. I didn't send this. I showed him the screen. He glanced at it, then back at me. Ev, that tone again, soft, careful, like I might break. You need to stop doing this. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means you can't keep blaming the system every time something slips. I didn't send it. He stepped closer, slow, controlled. You've been under pressure, he said. Investors, deadlines, your mom's anniversary. Don't. My voice cracked. Sharp. He lifted his hand slightly. Okay. But he didn't step back. Just think about it, he said quietly. What's more likely? That question hit harder than anything else. What's more likely? That someone is logging into your system every night, editing your files, sending messages in your name. Or that you're starting to lose control? I didn't answer, because part of me, a small, terrifying part, was starting to believe him. By noon, the headache started, a dull pressure behind my eyes. By 2 p.m., it got worse. My focus slipped. Simple decisions felt heavy. By 4 p.m., I forgot what I was saying mid-sentence. Ev? Lena stood in front of me now, concern on her face. You okay? I blinked, tried to reset. Yeah, I stopped, because I didn't know what I was about to say. Her expression shifted, subtle, not just concern anymore, evaluation. We can reschedule the demo, she said gently. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but the words didn't come out, because suddenly, I wasn't sure anymore. That night, I checked the logs again, 2:17 a.m. still there, and now, 2:19 a.m., message activity. I leaned back in my chair, heart racing, 2 versions of reality, the one in my head, where I was falling apart, and the one in the system, where someone was quietly taking control. I didn't know which one was worse. Back home, Daniel was already asleep. The apartment was dark, silent, too silent. I stood in the kitchen for a long time, looking at the counter, at the shaker bottle, half full. I walked toward it slowly, picked it up, opened it, smelled it. Chocolate, sweet, nor caramel. I stared at it, longer than I should have, then walked to the sink and poured it out, every last drop. The next morning, I didn't drink anything he gave me. By 10 a.m., the headache was gone. By noon, my thoughts were clear, sharp, focused, and like a switch flipped. I sat there, completely still, hands steady, breathing normal, and for the first time in days, I wasn't confused. I wasn't scared. I was certain. This wasn't stress. This wasn't burnout, and I wasn't losing my mind. Someone was doing this to me, and now I knew exactly where to start. I didn't confront him. Not yet, because the moment I did, I'd lose the only advantage I had left. He didn't know I knew, and that made me dangerous. So instead, I got proof. At 8:15 that morning, I left the office early, told Lena I had a doctor's appointment. She didn't question it. She just smiled, a little too quickly. I noticed that. I notice everything now. I drove across town, didn't take my usual route, didn't use my main card. Maybe it was paranoia, but it didn't feel like paranoia anymore. It felt like instinct. The lab was small, private, exactly what I needed. "I need a toxicology screen," I said. The receptionist hesitated. "For you?" "For this." I placed the sample on the counter, clear container, leftover protein shake. She looked at it, then at me, then nodded. "Results in 48 to 72 hours. Too long, but I didn't argue, because deep down, I already knew what they would find. The next 2 days, I played my role. I drank what he gave me, pretended not to notice, pretended to forget, repeated questions, missed small things, let my voice shake, just enough. And every time, Daniel watched me, not with concern, with calculation, like he was measuring something, tracking progress. That's when I knew. This wasn't random. This was controlled. By day 3, my answer came. The call came at 2:12 p.m. Unknown number. "Ms. Carter?" "Yes." "This is the lab. We have your results." My grip tightened around the phone. "Your sample contains trace amounts of a benzodiazepine." Silence. "And elevated melatonin levels." My chest went cold. What does that mean? It means someone has been administering a sedative in small, repeated doses. How long? If taken daily, a pause, long enough to affect memory, focus, and cognitive stability. Everything slowed. The room, the sound, my breathing. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The headaches, the confusion, the missing time. It wasn't stress. It wasn't burnout. It was design. "Ms. Carter, are you safe?" I didn't answer right away, because for the first time, I understood exactly what was happening. This wasn't concern. This wasn't care. This was control. They weren't watching me fall apart. They were making sure I did. "I'm fine," I said. A lie, but a necessary one. I ended the call, sat there, still. Then something shifted. Not panic, not fear, clarity. Cold, focused. If Daniel was drugging me, he had a reason. And if Lena knew, then this wasn't personal. It was planned. I went back to the office, closed my door, locked it, then opened something I wasn't supposed to see, the internal email archive. Daniel thought I didn't have access. He was wrong. I searched his name, then Lena's. Hundreds of emails, most of them normal. Financial reports, timelines, investor updates, until I found one. Subject line, "Next steps." I clicked it. Daniel to Lena. If she signs the medical leave, the board will vote within 48 hours. My pulse spiked. Once she's out, we move forward with the transfer. Transfer. I scrolled. Lena replied, "And if she refuses?" Daniel answered, "She won't. Not in her current state." My hands tightened. Current state. They knew. They knew exactly what they were doing. I kept reading. Another email. Attachment. I opened it. A legal document. Formal, structured, cold. Temporary medical incapacity filing. My name at the top. Already filled out. Complete. All it needed was my signature. And suddenly, everything connected. The drugs, the memory loss, the mistakes. They weren't trying to hurt me. They were building a case that proved I couldn't run my own company, A case that let them take everything, legally, clean, permanent. I leaned back slowly, breathing steady, because now there was no more doubt, no more confusion, no more fear, just truth. My husband and my best friend weren't watching me lose my mind. They were rewriting the story, so it looked like I already had. And that was their mistake, because they thought I was still confused. They thought I was still weak. They thought I hadn't figured it out yet. They were wrong. Now, I wasn't the one being controlled anymore. I was the one watching, and I was about to make them regret it. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I didn't confront him, because panic would ruin everything, and I needed them to believe that nothing had changed. So the next morning, I made a decision. I would get worse. Not actually worse, just convincing enough. At breakfast, I paused too long before answering simple questions. I repeated myself, missed obvious details, let my hands shake just a little. Daniel noticed. Of course he did. He always noticed. "Ev, are you okay?" His voice was soft, careful, almost concerned, almost. "I don't know," I whispered. That part wasn't entirely fake. He stepped closer, put a hand on my shoulder. "I think you need help." There it was. Exactly what I needed him to say. I looked up at him slowly. "Maybe you're right." Something shifted in his expression. Relief. But not the kind you feel when someone you love is okay. The kind you feel when a plan is working. That afternoon, I left early again, but this time, I wasn't going to a lab. I was preparing. I stopped at a small electronics store, paid in cash, no receipts linked to my name, bought a micro recorder, cloud-enabled, continuous upload. Then I went home, and I placed it exactly where I knew it would matter most. On his desk, hidden behind a framed photo, our wedding photo. The irony almost made me laugh. Almost. Then I waited. That was the hardest part. Not acting, not reacting, just waiting. 2 days passed, nothing. Normal conversations, normal routines, carefully controlled distance. And then, on the third day, it happened. I was supposed to be at work, but I wasn't. I sat in my car, watching the cloud feed on my phone, waiting. At 2:11 p.m., Daniel walked into his office, alone. At 2:14, Lena followed. No hesitation, no knocking, like she belonged there. They didn't know I was watching. That was their second mistake. Daniel closed the door, turned slightly away from her, lowered his voice, but not enough. The recorder caught everything. "Did she say anything this morning?" Lena shook her head. "She's worse." A pause. She agreed to the leave. Daniel exhaled, slow, satisfied. Good. That one word told me everything. Not relief, not concern, just confirmation. Lena stepped closer. What if she changes her mind? Daniel didn't hesitate. She won't. How can you be sure? Another pause. Then, because she can't. My chest tightened. Lena frowned. What does that mean? Daniel leaned back slightly, calm, cold. It means by the time the board reviews her condition, she won't be in a position to argue. Silence. Heavy. Lena looked at him, not shocked, not surprised, just thinking. Then she asked the question I didn't expect. Are you sure the dosage is still safe? My fingers tightened around the phone. Daniel's answer came instantly. It's controlled. She's not in danger. Just unstable. Unstable. That word again. They weren't trying to kill me. They were trying to rewrite me. Lena crossed her arms. And after? Daniel smiled. I recognize that smile now. I hated it. After the vote, everything transfers. Clean, legal. And her? A beat. Then, she'll get help. That almost made me laugh. Almost. Because I finally understood. I wasn't a person to him anymore. I was a problem, and he had already solved it. On the screen, they kept talking, details, timing, next steps, every word digging deeper, every sentence confirming what I already knew. By the time they left the room, I wasn't shaking anymore. I wasn't scared. I wasn't confused. I was ready. I saved the file, backed it up, twice, 3 times, different locations, different accounts. They thought they were in control. They thought they were ahead. They thought I was already gone. They were wrong, because now I didn't just have suspicion. I had proof. And I wasn't going to stop until everything they built collapsed. I should have gone to the police. That would have been the logical move. Take the recording, take the lab results, end it. But logic wasn't enough. Not with people like them, because Daniel didn't just have a plan. He had layers. And if I moved too early, he'd find a way out. So I did something else. I dug deeper. The next morning, I contacted someone I trusted. Not a friend, not a colleague. Someone who dealt in truth, not loyalty. Marcus Hale, corporate fraud investigator. We met off-site. Quiet cafe. No cameras near the table, no digital trail. I handed him everything. The recording, the toxicology report, the emails. He didn't interrupt, didn't react, just listened. When it finished, he leaned back, studied me. "You're in more danger than you think." I didn't look away. "I know." He shook his head slightly. "No. You don't." That made me pause. What am I missing? He tapped the table once. If they're building a medical incapacity case, they're not relying on just behavior. My chest tightened. They'll need a professional evaluation. A beat. A licensed psychiatrist. The room felt colder. They already have one, don't they? Marcus didn't answer right away. He didn't need to. I already knew. Back at the office, I went straight to the archive again. Searched deeper this time. Not just Daniel, not just Lena. Medical, legal, anything connected to my name. And then I found it. A calendar entry. Hidden. Not on my main schedule. A secondary layer. Encrypted, but not enough. Appointment. 3 days from now. Psychiatric evaluation. My name attached. Authorized by Daniel Reed. My stomach dropped. He didn't need my consent, not anymore. Not if he could prove I wasn't capable of giving it. I opened the attached file. Referral notes. Symptoms listed. Memory loss. Emotional instability. Cognitive decline. Every single one documented, time-stamped, backed by evidence, videos, logs, messages, all of it curated, all of it real enough to be believable. I sat there, staring at the screen. Because this was bigger than I thought. This wasn't just about removing me from the company. This was about removing me from myself. If that evaluation went through, if the psychiatrist agreed, it wouldn't just be a board vote. It would be legal. Permanent, irreversible. I picked up my phone, called Marcus. They scheduled the evaluation. When? 3 days. A pause. Then, good. I blinked. Good? That's your window. I didn't understand. Explain. If we stop them now, they deny everything. If we let them proceed, we catch them in the act. My grip tightened. You want me to walk into that? I want you to control it. Silence, then. Can you handle that? I looked at the screen again, at the files, at the version of me they had built, weak, unstable, replaceable. I exhaled slowly. Yes, because I didn't have a choice. That night, I sat alone in the apartment. Daniel wasn't home yet. Probably with Lena, planning the next step, finalizing the end of me. I opened my laptop, started mapping everything. Timeline, evidence, weak points. If the psychiatrist was part of this, I needed to know how deep it went. Bribed, manipulated, or just misled? Because if they were clean, I could use them. But if they weren't, then this wasn't just fraud anymore. This was something bigger. By midnight, I had a plan. Not perfect, but precise. I would go to the evaluation. I would play exactly what they expected, confused, unstable, vulnerable. And I would let them talk, because people like Daniel don't stop when they're winning. They explain, they justify, they expose themselves without even realizing it. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark, completely still. They thought they were 3 steps ahead. They thought I was already finished. They thought this evaluation was the final move. They were wrong, because they weren't setting a trap for me. They were walking into mine. The office didn't look like a trap. That was the first thing I noticed. Clean, quiet, professionals, soft lighting, neutral colors, everything designed to make you feel safe, to make you open up, to make you believe you were being helped. I almost smiled. Almost. Daniel walked beside me, calm, steady, supportive. The perfect husband. Just be honest, he said softly. I'm here for you. I nodded. Didn't trust my voice. Didn't need to. I wasn't here to tell the truth. I was here to perform. We stepped inside. The psychiatrist stood to greet us, mid-40s, sharp eyes, controlled posture. Miss Carter. Her voice was warm, but measured. I'm Dr. Alvarez. I shook her hand, kept my grip just slightly unsteady, not weak, just enough. Please sit. I sat. Daniel sat beside me, close enough to feel his presence, not close enough to feel safe. Dr. Alvarez opened a file. My file. I didn't need to look. I already knew what was inside. Evelyn, she said gently, I just want to understand how you've been feeling lately. Simple question. Simple answer. If I were actually me. But today, I wasn't. I forget things, I said quietly. Let the words come slow, uncertain. Important things, she nodded, writing, observing. Can you give me an example? I hesitated. Not too long, just enough. Meetings, emails, conversations. A pause. Sometimes I don't remember entire days. That part wasn't entirely a lie. Dr. Alvarez glanced at Daniel, then back at me. Have you noticed changes in your mood? I lowered my eyes, carefully. I get overwhelmed. I can't focus. I feel like I'm losing control. Each word placed exactly where it needed to be. She wrote again. Fast this time. Too fast. That was my first signal. She wasn't discovering anything. She was confirming it. Have you experienced confusion about what is real and what isn't? That question lingered, carefully worded. Dangerous. I let a small silence build, then nodded. Sometimes that was enough. Daniel shifted slightly beside me, subtle, but I felt it. Approval. We kept going. Questions, answers, patterns. Every response feeding the story they had already built. And then, she said it. I'd like to recommend a temporary leave. There it was, the pivot point. I looked at her. Let confusion show. Let uncertainty settle in. A leave. Just until we understand what's happening, she said. Reduce stress, stabilize your condition. Stabilize. I almost laughed. Daniel leaned in slightly. It's the right move, he said, soft, reassuring. Just for a little while. I looked between them, back and forth, like I didn't know who to trust, like I was breaking. Inside, I was counting seconds, waiting. Because people like Daniel always say too much, and then he did. If we don't act now, he said, turning slightly toward Dr. Alvarez, her condition could impact the company. There it was, not concern, not care, the company. Dr. Alvarez didn't react, but she didn't question it either. That told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't neutral. She was aligned, whether she knew it or not. I lowered my gaze again, let my voice drop. What happens if I don't take the leave? Dr. Alvarez answered carefully. We would strongly advise it. Daniel didn't wait. It's necessary. Too fast, too firm. That was his mistake. I looked at him slowly. Let something shift in my expression. Not clarity. Not yet, just resistance. Necessary? A small crack in the performance. Intentional. He noticed, and he pushed. Yes, he said. We can't risk things getting worse. We. Not you. We. I leaned back slightly, let the silence stretch. Then I said it. Soft, careful. So this isn't about me, is it? The room changed. Just a little, but enough. Daniel stiffened. Dr. Alvarez paused, and for the first time, the script slipped, only for a second. But I saw it, and that was all I needed. Because now, they weren't completely in control anymore. And once control cracks, everything follows. The silence didn't last long. It never does, when control starts slipping. Daniel recovered first. Of course he did. He always does. This is about you, he said calmly, measured, controlled, like he was fixing a mistake. Your health matters. There it was again. The perfect line, the perfect mask. I nodded slowly, let it land, let him believe it worked. Then I looked at Dr. Alvarez. Can I ask you something? She hesitated, just slightly, then nodded. Of course. I leaned forward a little, kept my voice soft. If someone were being influenced, I chose that word carefully, without realizing it, would that show up in an evaluation? Her expression shifted. Not much, but enough. It depends what you mean by influenced. Fair answer. Careful answer. I nodded. Medication, maybe? Now, the room changed. Not visibly, but I felt it. Daniel didn't move. That was the tell. He was holding still on purpose. Too still. Dr. Alvarez set her pen down. Are you currently taking any medication that hasn't been disclosed? I shook my head slowly. No. Then I added, but I think I've been given something. Daniel turned to me instantly. Ev, too fast, too sharp. That was mistake number one. I didn't look at him. Not yet. I kept my eyes on Dr. Alvarez. Something that makes me forget things. Something that makes me look unstable. Each word. Deliberate. Controlled. Dr. Alvarez studied me now. Really studied me. Not the file. Not the script. Me. Why would you think that? That was the opening. I let a small pause form. Just enough. Then I reached into my bag, slowly, carefully, and placed my phone on the table, screen down. I wasn't sure. Until a few days ago. I turned it over, pressed play. The audio filled the room. Daniel's voice, clear, calm, cold. She won't, not in her current state. A beat. Are you sure the dosage is still safe? Lena's voice. Then Daniel again. It's controlled. She's not in danger. Just unstable. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence this time was different. Heavy, real. I watched Dr. Alvarez, not Daniel, not yet, because this moment was hers, her decision, her line in the sand. Her eyes flicked once and toward Daniel, then back to me. What is this recording? Her voice had changed. Less warm, more precise. Proof, I said simply. Daniel finally moved. Okay, that's not... I turned to him now, slow, controlled. You should be careful what you say next. That stopped him. Not completely, but enough. Ev, you're confused. No. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I'm not confused anymore. That was mistake number 2. He tried to regain control by pushing harder. You don't understand what you're hearing. I understand exactly what I'm hearing. I leaned forward slightly, met his eyes. No hesitation, no fear. You've been drugging me. Silence. Sharp. Immediate. Dr. Alvarez's posture shifted. Subtle, but undeniable. "That's a serious accusation," she said. "It is." I didn't break eye contact, with lab results to support it. That landed hard. Daniel blinked. Just once. But I saw it. The first real crack. "Where did you get that test?" There it was. Not denial, not outrage. Details. That was mistake number 3. "Private lab," I said. "And I've already shared everything with a corporate fraud investigator." Now, he went still again. But this time, it wasn't control. It was calculation. Too late. Dr. Alvarez closed the file in front of her, slowly, carefully. "I think we need to pause this evaluation." That was it. That was the shift. Daniel felt it too. "This is a misunderstanding," he said quickly. "We're just trying to help her." Help. That word meant nothing now. Dr. Alvarez didn't respond. She was looking at me again, but differently. Not as a patient, as a variable she hadn't accounted for. "I'm going to need to review this information," she said. Professional, controlled, but no longer aligned. That was all I needed. I stood up, slowly. No rush, no panic, just control, real control. "This isn't over," Daniel said quietly. Not a threat, not yet, just a warning. I looked at him, really looked this time. At the man I thought I knew. At the man who thought he had already won. "You're right," I said. Calm, steady. "It's not." A small pause. Then, "But it's not going the way you planned anymore." And for the first time, I saw it. Not confidence, not control. Fear, just for a second. But it was there. And once fear shows up, everything else follows. Ooh. Daniel didn't follow me out right away. He stayed in that room, with her, trying to fix it, trying to contain it. That's what people like him do. They don't panic, they adjust. I didn't wait to see how. I was already moving, out of the building, into my car, doors locked. Breathing steady, not fear, not anymore. Focus. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I answered immediately. "How did it go?" "They took the bait." A pause. "That fast?" "They didn't expect me to push back." Another pause. Then, "Good." I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes for a second. "It's bigger than we thought," I said. "They have a psychiatrist involved." "I know," Marcus replied. My eyes opened. "You knew?" "I suspected," he said. "And now?" "Now I'm sure." My grip tightened. "How deep does this go?" A beat. Then, "Deep enough that Daniel isn't acting alone." That landed differently. Not surprising, but heavier. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, this acquisition deal, it's not just opportunistic. It's coordinated." My stomach dropped. "With who?" "An investment group. Private, quiet. They specialize in distressed takeovers." Distressed. That word again. "They needed you unstable," Marcus continued. "They needed control of the board. And Daniel gave them both." I stared ahead, everything connecting faster now. "This was never just about him," I said. "No," Marcus replied. "It was about your company." From the start. A long silence followed. Not empty, just clear. "What's the next move?" I asked. Marcus didn't hesitate. "You finish it." "How?" "Board meeting. Emergency session. You bring everything. Recording, lab results, emails. And you don't warn anyone." I exhaled slowly. "That's going to blow everything up." "That's the point." I almost smiled. Almost. That night, Daniel came home late. Later than usual. I was already there, sitting on the couch, lights off, waiting. He paused when he saw me, just for a second. Then he stepped inside, closed the door. "You left early, Philip," he said, careful, neutral. "I did, a beat. We should talk." There it was, the reset attempt. I looked up at him, kept my expression soft, uncertain. About what? He studied me, trying to read me, trying to figure out what I knew. That meeting didn't go the way it should have, he said. No, I agreed. It didn't. Another pause, longer this time. You're under a lot of pressure, he continued. We can still fix this. Fix, that word again. How? He stepped closer, slow, controlled. You sign the leave. Take a step back. Let things stabilize. Stabilize. And then, I asked, and then we figure out what's best for everyone. Everyone. I nodded slowly, like I was considering it, like I was still unsure. Inside, I already knew my answer. Okay, I said quietly. He blinked. Just once. Okay? I'll sign it. That did it. Relief. Real this time. Not concern, not care. Victory. Good, he said, too fast. We'll take care of everything tomorrow. Tomorrow. Perfect. I looked down, let my voice soften. I'm tired. You should rest, he said. Of course I should. I stood, walked past him, slow, steady, and for a brief second, as I passed, I saw it again. That smile, the one he thought I couldn't see, the one that said, it was over. He was wrong, because tomorrow wasn't the end for me. It was the end for him. The boardroom was already full when I walked in. Investors, advisors, 2 members dialing in remotely. Every seat filled, every eye waiting. Daniel stood at the front, confident, composed, like this was already over. He looked up when I entered, just for a second. Something flickered, then it was gone. Evelyn, he said smoothly, glad you made it. I didn't respond. I just took my seat, at the head of the table, where I belonged. Lena sat 2 seats away, didn't look at me, not once. Daniel began. As you all know, he moved through it cleanly, professional, controlled. Over the past few weeks, we've observed concerning behavior patterns. There it was, memory inconsistencies, decision instability, operational risk. Every word carefully chosen, every phrase designed to sound objective. This is not a judgment, he continued. It's a precaution. Of course it is. We recommend a temporary medical leave to protect both Evelyn and the company. Protect. That word again. He turned slightly, looked at me. Evelyn has agreed to cooperate. A ripple moved through the room, subtle, but real. All eyes shifted to me, waiting. I nodded once, slow. Yes, I said quietly. Relief, instant, visible. Daniel relaxed. Just enough. That was the moment. I leaned forward, placed my phone on the table. But before we finalize anything, I said calmly, I think everyone here deserves the full picture. The room shifted. Daniel didn't move, but I felt it. Tension. What do you mean? One of the investors asked. I didn't answer him. I pressed play. The recording filled the room. She won't... Not in her current state. Silence. Are you sure the dosage is still safe? A few heads turned. Daniel didn't speak. It's controlled. She's not in danger. Just unstable. The audio ended. No one moved. No one spoke. Because everyone understood exactly what they had just heard. I looked around the table, met each set of eyes, one by one. That's my husband, I said. Calm, precise. And that's my co-founder. Lena's face had gone pale. Daniel still hadn't spoken. Not yet. I continued. I've also submitted independent toxicology results, confirming repeated exposure to sedatives, a shift, stronger this time, and internal communications, detailing a coordinated plan to remove me under a false medical claim. Now the room broke. Questions, Voices, movement. What is this? Is this real? Daniel? He stepped forward, finally. This is being taken out of context. No, I cut him off. Not loud, not emotional, just final. It's exactly what it sounds like. He looked at me now, really looked, trying to find the version of me he controlled. He couldn't. Evelyn. His voice shifted, lower, harder. You don't understand what you're doing. I almost smiled. No, I said quietly. I understand perfectly. I leaned forward slightly, met his eyes. You drugged me. Silence. Sharp. Immediate. You manipulated company records. Another pause. You attempted to remove me illegally and transfer control. Every word landed, heavy, irreversible. Daniel didn't answer, because he couldn't. For the first time, he didn't have control of the room. The board did, and they were no longer on his side. One of the investors stood. We need legal counsel involved immediately. Another voice. This meeting is suspended. Lena didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even look up. Daniel stayed where he was, frozen. I stood slowly, no rush, no hesitation. Then I stepped closer to him, close enough that only he could hear. You should have made sure I stayed confused. His jaw tightened. That was all that was left. I straightened, turned, walked out. And this time, no one stopped me, because it was over. They told me I was losing my mind, that I was forgetting things, that I wasn't capable anymore. And for a while, I believed them. That's the part no one talks about. How easy it is to doubt yourself when the people you trust most are the ones rewriting your reality. I didn't almost lose my company. I almost lost myself. And if I hadn't stopped, if I hadn't questioned it, if I had just signed that paper, everything would have been gone. Legally, cleanly, permanently. So here's what I keep thinking about. Not what they did, not how far they went, but this. How many people are living in a version of reality, tatum, that someone else built for them? How many people are being told they're the problem when they're actually the target? Because the scariest part isn't betrayal. It's not even control. It's when you stop trusting your own mind and you don't even realize it's happening. So if you've ever felt that, even for a second, I want you to ask yourself one question. What if you're not wrong? What if you're just being made to feel that way? If you were in my position, would you have figured it out in time, or would you have signed the paper and lost everything without even knowing why? Tell me the truth.